Welcome to an episode of Jazz Sports Talk. Welcome to week 10 of 2025 NFL season. We're past the halfway mark. A lot of surprising moves. The NFL trade deadline, it just surpassed as well. Definitely some interesting moves happening on that front. A lot of teams are really pushing their chips in the middle and saying our time is now. The ones are left scratching their head. We'll dive into some of those in a little bit. I'm not going to go into too much detail with the trade deadlines. There's a few surprise moves that we keeps an eye on and see if teams are actually making the right decision. And we're also going to look back at the week 9 really quick. Not going to try to dive too much in that. Kind of go over some of the wins I had, some of the losses I had, and kind of go from there. All right, for week 9, I actually finished the week 9-5. Not too shabby. I mean, there's a few games in there that I was kind of expecting one way and things went a different direction. In terms of like Baltimore-Miami last Thursday, there was no question about that one. Lamar Jackson came back. Yeah, he looked a little rusty, but still took the team in. Miami's in complete shambles right now. The GM stepped away, so we'll see what happens there. Chicago and Cincinnati, that was an interesting battle. That the Bears let go Mongera, who had more rushing attempts, and Cincinnati had nothing they could do. Chicago's secondary had no answer to Joe Flacco. And it looked like the season or the game was going to be won by Flacco and the Bengals because they got an onside kick and scoring a touchdown. Very little time remaining. Williams hit Loveland, who broke a tackle and just stumbled into the end zone, getting the lead, and then Hail Mary by Joe Flacco was intercepted. And there we go. The Bears are sniffing a playoff spot, possibly. Chicago, just don't keep your hopes up too high. Let's go put it right there. My first loss was Detroit, losing at home to Minnesota. I don't know what happened there. Green Bay, once again, taking on a team they should really just blow the doors off of and just fell flat. They did the same thing in Cleveland, did the same thing last week against Carolina, lost on a last-second field goal by the Panthers. Chargers struggled against the Titans, still won. Atlanta made it scary in New England, but couldn't surpass the Patriots. The 49ers able to edge out the Giants. I picked Pittsburgh to knock off Indianapolis. And Indianapolis did make it kind of interesting towards the end, but Pittsburgh was able to hold on. Denver and Houston. I picked Houston this matchup, and Houston I think would have been all right if C.J. Stroud did not get knocked out with a concussion. Mims did a very good job in stepping up to the role, which he always seems to do. But I think it's just too much Bo Nix, and they ended up winning on the last second field goal as well. Down in over in Las Vegas, I picked the Raiders to beat the Jaguars. And the Raiders, for the most part, were winning. But the record-setting field goal by Jacksonville, of course, is indoors, so let's put a little asterisk. Some people put a little asterisk next to it because it's indoors. You'll have to factor of the wind and whatnot and air pressure and all that stuff to factor in. But Jacksonville was able to come back and beat the Raiders on the road. Geno Smith had a pretty good showing. Rams had no problem with the Saints. The Bills beat the Chiefs, which I predicted they would do. In D.C., I picked the Commanders, and Jayden Daniels had a horrific injury. I did not watch the video. I saw a still image. That elbow does not naturally move that direction. That's all I'm going to say. If you want to feel a little queasy, that's up to you. But Seattle was way too much for Washington. Dominated them. And then on Monday night, I picked the Cardinals to knock off the Cowboys. And Jacoby Brissett did not disappoint. As the Cowboys they have these great games, and then all of a sudden they just stumble and this is one of the stumbles. So there you go. Him going 9-5, quick synapses, shot there across the bow. Now, the trade deadline came and went, and there's definitely some prize things. The Jets were the biggest sellers. I think everyone kind of saw that coming. Only have one win. Why not just stock up now with draft picks and cut salary? And they did that when they got rid of both Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams, and just inundating themselves with draft picks. I mean, they got rid of their two best defenders, so their defense is going to take a huge hit. And looking at that, they end up picking up 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks in 06 draft, and 3 first-round picks in 27. So 2026 first round, and then 2027, they picked up 3 first-round picks. I think the Jets kind of won that one. That way they can look for a quarterback, a star defender, probably a star, maybe some good offensive linemen to keep the quarterback upright. So I think for the Jets themselves, fire sale, I think everyone kind of saw that one coming. But one of the things that did not happen was Breece Hall did not get moved. But the thing is, no running backs were dealt before the trade deadline. So I think there was no market for running backs. So Breece Hall is kind of stuck where he's at right now. And so we'll see how this transpires later on, if he's still with the Jets after the season, or maybe he gets moved at draft day. Who knows? Hawks shored up their receiving core by getting Rashid Shaheed from the Saints for 4th and 5th round picks. So that actually helps the Saints. And then the Jaguars themselves also shored up their depleted receiving core by getting Jacoby Myers from the Raiders for a pair of draft picks as well. So we'll see a couple of key receivers kind of moving around. In terms of Sauce Gardner, he ended up going to the Colts, so really shored up the Colts secondary for their push, led by Daniel Jones. All of a sudden, he turned out to be a savant at quarterback this year. And then the Cowboys shored up their defense by picking up Quincy Williams, as well as Quinnen from the Jets. So the Cowboys trying to shore up that defense, maybe help them contain offenses like Arizona's, or maybe a little bit more going after Philadelphia. But, definitely some head scratchers. Cincinnati did not really have any sort of movement on their front. And they have plenty of their players are going, hey, get me out of here, and none of them moved. So we'll see what transpires later on. But Indianapolis get a huge star in the secondary. Should really help them out for their playoff run. The Jaguars getting receiver help should really help. Seahawks getting another piece in the receiving core to really help Sam Darnold look even better than he already is doing. So some interesting moves, to say the least. Some teams just not making anything, and that's weird as well. No major players. I mean, the huge one, like I said, was Sauce Gardner being in the Jets fire sale without trading Breece Hall. But hey, it's NFL. Nothing ever really makes sense sometimes. Next, quick little synopsis of the trade. I'm sure there's other minor trades out there and whatnot, but let's go ahead and dive into Week 10. Once again, 14 is going to be off this week. That's Cincinnati, Dallas, Tennessee, and Kansas City. Kick things off Thursday night in the Mile City as the 7-2 Denver Broncos take on their longtime division rivals, the Raiders. I'm not really expecting much from the Raiders coming in here. Denver has just been a constant machine rolling forward. definitely having some very close matchups and finding ways to win. And the other one didn't have really close was the game against Dallas. They had to hold firm towards the end, but they were definitely in charge of that game throughout. You see the Raiders have been kind of close games, blowouts, and then they had that great win against Tennessee. But beyond that, Raiders have yet to really step out of their own shadows. Part of that could be the offense is not really responding. Geno Smith not really taking his success he had in Seattle down to Vegas very well because he's 1 for 1 interceptions to touchdowns. Genty hasn't really stepped up as that star running back. I think a lot of people were expecting him to come out of Boise State. But, there's talent on that Raiders team. They just can't seem to get over that hump. And right now, being the bottom of the West, looking up at everyone else, again, I don't see much change. Bo Nix is right now, I think he's having a MVP-style season. He may get votes, but I don't think he's going to get very many because he's almost 2,000 yards passing, 17 touchdowns, 6 picks. J.K. Dobbins almost has 7 yards on the ground coming up behind in the backfield. Analytics likes the Broncos at 73%. The Lions at 2.5. I really see no issues in any of these statements, and I do think Denver will win quite handily against their division foe. And off to Sunday. Time for the NFL to head back to Europe. And we're headed to Deutschland. Bit ein Bit. Linch ein Berliner. That's right, we're heading to Berlin as they get to host the NFL game this year in Germany. We'll feature the surprise Indianapolis Colts and the Atlanta Falcons. Now, the Falcons is definitely a pesky team. They always seem to find ways to make themselves show up in games and be dominant. But the other one that didn't really happen was they took on Miami and just fell apart against the Dolphin roast is going on down there in Miami. Indianapolis fell short against Pittsburgh with that defense really stepped up and disrupted Daniel Jones in that game. But Indianapolis have been just ramming through teams, except for like Arizona, and they had a hard time there. Same thing with the Chargers. But look at, Daniel Jones himself, I think, is a MVP candidate, which is a shocking statement, especially you looked at what he did in the Giants before he left. But he has over 2,400 yards passing, 14 TDs, 6 picks. Taylor comes in that backfield almost at 900 yards. This is a dynamic duo 1-2 punch with these two guys. And Pittman Jr. being a key receiver. And not to mention, now having Sauce Gardner in that secondary, it's going to make this defense even more potent and probably, trying to pin Penix Jr. back there. B.J. Robinson not really having much success, about 600 yards with 2 touchdowns. So Atlanta has talent. I think they're starting to creep up there, but taking on the juggernaut that is Indianapolis, looking to rebound after their loss to Pittsburgh. Good luck. Analytics likes the Colts at 70%. The line right now is at 6.5. Knowing Atlanta's probably going to keep this close, I do like the line as well, but I am taking Indianapolis to win in Deutschland. And back to our regular scheduled program games on Sunday. The Chicago Bears, will take on the G-Men, and Big Blue will come into the Windy City. And Jackson Dart is actually coming with some decent numbers for his short time frame. 10 touchdowns and only 3 picks with 1,100 yards. And not having Scatterboo last week, they still managed to put up 24 points against the 49ers. So they're definitely finding ways to get out there and make things quick. Caleb Williams, decent numbers. I mean, he's not lighting up the stat sheets. I mean, he's less than 2,000 yards passing with 12 touchdowns, 4 picks. He's not getting a lot of passing yards, but finding his receivers, his tight ends, especially Loveland and Kmet, who are come big ones. Zonze has really stepped up. DJ Moore has a few receptions. With Swift being out, which kind of hampers things a little bit, but allows for his backup to really thrive, and I think it's the one they really want to push up as the future, hopefully, maybe. But like I said, the Bears right now are 5-3 overall. They're on the cusp of getting in. I think them and Detroit right now are tied for 7th in the NFC playoff race. It's still early. Still plenty of games to go. So I'm not holding my breath at all. I am realistic when it comes to Chicago Bears and disappointment. And I do think the Giants will make this a game, to say the least. And analytics has it like that. It's 50%, 50.2% for the Giants. It's not even a full 100% when it comes to analytics. And it's like 49.4 for Chicago. So it's definitely a coin flip. The line right now is 3.5 in favor of Chicago. I do think it's going to be a close game as well. It's going to probably be, for the Bears fans, definitely going to be hard to watch because the Jackson Dart should be able to pick apart the secondary. I think K. Williams will have enough time to find ways, especially if Mongoye can find ways to get out of that backfield. But I like the Bears in this one as well, and I think it will be close. Now head down to South Beach as the Miami Dolphins play host to the Buffalo Bills. And Buffalo needs to keep track of the New England Patriots. They need this win. The way Buffalo went after Kansas City definitely has the things, but they got a couple question marks right now for that the Bills team. Cook and Bosa both questionable at this present point in time. Bosa with a wrist, Cook with an ankle that will hamper them a bit. Miami, I don't know. Tua is not making the right decisions this year. He's off, to say the least. So the Bills defense can get after Tua Tagovailoa. Definitely will hamper this Miami offense. You saw that with Baltimore. He couldn't get anything really going. I mean, you've seen this most of it. I mean, besides the game, Carolina and Chargers, that's most recent. I mean, they were close, but couldn't overcome. And a game in Atlanta where they finally clicked. But I think that was just the stars aligned correctly for that game. Analytics right now has it Buffalo at 69% giddy. And Vegas likes them at 9.5. I see no issues with neither one of these. I'm definitely picking the Bills to win down there at Hard Rock. Then we come to Minnesota as the 4-4 Vikings play host to the resurging Ravens. I put a question mark there because the Ravens always seem to find ways to kind of make things interesting, but they win out, or at least win the vast majority of the games. I mean, in 8 games, you get 9 games remaining. If they win 8 of them, or even 7 of them, are they playoff bound? Are they NFC North champions? They need this game to get up there. Minnesota, J.J. McCarthy actually came back, did extremely well against Detroit, but you got another hungry defense in terms of the Baltimore Ravens you really have to worry about. Jackson, who already has a game under his belt, so the rest is kind of off, so now it's kind of get back into the swing of things again. And can Derrick Henry continue to be a dominating force coming out of that backfield while still maintaining control of the ball? He's had some issues with that early in the season. Can the defense maintain supremacy and not let a fourth quarter comeback, which has always been the case for the Baltimore Ravens? Analytics likes Baltimore at 62%. The line has it at 4.5. I might take Minnesota for the points. I think it is going to be close. I think it's going to come down to fourth quarter heroics. I do think Lamar Jackson is going to be able to escape Minnesota with a victory. The Toilet Bowl this year. The Cleveland Browns head to New York to take on the Jets. The Jets just went through this fire sale with their team. Definitely missing some key aspects. Gabriel for the Browns. 5 touchdowns, 2 picks. Justin Fields has 5 touchdowns. Breece Hall comes out with 580, 2 touchdowns. Junkins right now is questionable. But you can't count out Myles Garrett, who has 10 sacks this season. Possibly Defensive Player of the Year again. But analytics like the Jets at 65%. Vegas gets them at 1.5. You know what? I don't know. who I would pick for this matchup. I mean, I probably would pick the Jets earlier if they didn't trade away two key defensive players. They'll give Gabriel plenty of time to find playmakers. And looking at some of the past, I mean, yeah, they got decimated by the Patriots, but, and the Steelers. Hang tough with the Vikings, decimated by the Lions, beat Miami. And you look at the Jets, I mean, they had that great win against Cincinnati. They had an extra week to celebrate that win. Nice comfort behind victory. It's a coin flip, and I'm going to keep my initial pick. I'm taking the Jets, but I'm definitely uneasy with this decision, especially with the recent trades of their key defense players. But see the Jets going to squeak out a second victory of the year. Then we head to Tampa Bay as the Buccaneers play host to New England Patriots in a, dare I say it, a possible Super Bowl matchup. I know it's a bit of extreme. And it sounds crazy me just saying that. And you might as well call this the Brady Bowl. These are two teams Tom Brady took to win the Super Bowl. Hey, look at that. Drake May definitely have an MVP-style season, over 2,200-plus yards this season with 17 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Baker Mayfield quietly have his own MVP-style season, almost 2,000 yards, 13 touchdowns, 2 picks. Running back-wise, not something particular. Neither one of them's cracked 300 yards, but White for the Buccaneers does have 4 rushing touchdowns. So we'll see how things will kind of play out. There's a lot of question marks right now on that Tampa Bay side that makes things kind of interesting for the Patriots. One of the question marks for them is Christian Gonzalez, one of their star corners. Question with the head right now. Analytics likes Tampa Bay at 57%. The line has Tampa Bay at 2.5. I'm taking New England. The way this team's kind of rolling right now, I do think this is going to be a close matchup. I really think it's going to be a game to really watch between these two surprise heavyweights this year. And I just think, just variable will have enough. Drake May has really performed this season, but don't count on Baker and the Bucs. There's something about them, you just can't count them out. I think they're going to lose in a very fashionable way, and I think the Pats would just be able to sneak out with like a last-minute field goal. Saints will head to Charlotte to take on the Panthers. Panthers right now 3-1 defending their home. Having a surprising good year, 5 wins, 4 losses. I mean, that win in Green Bay was definitely a shocker. I mean, that's 2 road games in a row they've won. And Bryce Young, 1,400 yards passing, 11 TDs, but 6 picks. So definitely some issues there. And Rattler for the Saints, over 1,500 yards, 8 touchdowns, 5 picks. Said, neither one of these quarterbacks don't, line up the scoreboard with their stats. It's what's going to happen coming back there. And Ronald for the Panthers, over 700 yards on the ground, 4 touchdowns. Definitely a factor in this game you have to take into serious consideration. Analytics like the Panthers 6%. Vegas likes them at 5.5. They're fitting in their home den. I think that gives a little extra thing for the Panthers. They seem to do very well at home. I think their rushing attack is going to be a key factor. Rattler losing one of receivers could have played a factor in this game. We'll have to wait and see. But I like the Panthers winning at home as well. Time to go to H-Town. That's the Texans play host to the Jaguars, who just recently acquired Jacoby Myers because they're depleted receiving core. And the fact that they had all of these injuries in the receiver, they definitely need that extra incentive to come out there. See, Stroud right now is questionable because of the concussion he had last week. So he may not be up and running. But both these are very young teams. very well coached, have a lot of momentum going every which way in a key AFC South showdown to find out, who can keep up with the Colts. I don't know. It's going to be hard pressed to do that. Right now, analytics is split 51% for Jacksonville in this game. Vegas likes Houston at 1.5. This is going to be a coin flip. This is going to be a good game between these two teams. Where I'm at, this is going to be the game I'm going to be seeing on CBS on Sunday. And I will take Jacksonville in this victory to edge out Houston on the road. I think I'm going to put Jacksonville ahead just because the question marks are C.J. Stroud. But C.J. Stroud's in. It could go their direction. But when I'm time recording this, he's listed questionable for concussion. So I'm taking Jacksonville. Now, Arizona gets ahead up to Puget Sound, take on the Seahawks. Jacoby Brissett's already been tagged as the starter for this weekend's matchups. Seattle made that move as well to get a nice quality receiver up there to help out Sam Darnold, who has a very quiet numbers. Thinks another guy's probably going to get some votes for MVP. Not much beyond that, but he has over 2,000 yards in the air, 16 touchdowns, 5 picks. Walker comes out of that backfield over 400 yards on the ground. And Smith-Njigba, being his prime receiver right now, almost 950 yards already. So definitely going to be a 1,000-yard receiver by the time the season's over with. Harrison Jr. and Jacoby Brissett also developed a nice relationship. Harrison Jr. almost has 500 yards with 3 touchdowns. Sweat's going to be a huge factor for that Cardinals defense to get in the backfield to really disrupt both Walker and Darnold in that backfield. I think right now Seattle is poised to make some headway this year. And the fact that they are sitting on top with the Rams and the 49ers, all three of them are really battling each other. Right now, Seahawks has the advantage right now in that NFC West. Arizona is on the bottom looking up. I don't see much of this one. I do think Arizona will make this a game because right now, analytics likes Seattle at 64%. Vegas has it at 6.5. I like Seattle as well. Battle of California as the 49ers will play host to the Rams. And the 49ers went down to SoFi and turned to be a home game almost for the 49ers. More 49er fans were in attendance than the Rams. So the 49ers are able just so many players missing, but yet still not winning. And Christian McCaffrey is the optimist right now of that. I mean, now he's the top running back, but he's also the top receiver for the 49ers, especially that depleted receiver core. 8 total touchdowns overall. Jones having a decent season, 1,800 yards plus, 10 touchdowns, 5 picks. Stafford also having an MVP-style season, over 2,100 yards passing, 21 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Yeah, definitely has some issues with the receiving core with Nakua and Atwell. Atwell on the IR, but Nakua possibly questionable right now with ribs. But it's the Rams always seem to find ways. They continue to thrive. I mean, crushed the Saints, crushed the Jaguars, got past a Lamar Jackson-less Ravens, lost to San Francisco at home, and barely got past the Colts at home. Those are the last 5 games right there. And the way the 49ers have been playing, the reason why I picked the 49ers last week because they lost the previous week and normally win after a loss. Maybe I should go with the Rams on this one. I don't know. Analytics. Dead heat, basically. 49.9 for the Rams, 49.7 for the Niners. Vegas likes the Rams at 3.5. Everything points to Rams. I went Rams last time these two teams met. And I'm just going to stick with my initial gut this one. I'm taking the Niners at home, but I have a feeling it might be Rams. So we'll see how that one plays out. Another time I had the DC as the Commanders are going to be without Jayden Daniels with that arm. Like I said, if you watched that video and didn't throw up, kudos to you. It still almost made me lose my dinner at that time frame when I saw it. Not to mention not having Lattimore in that backfield either, or secondary, I should say. They're really going to hamper this team completely. And I do think with the amount of injuries that are piling up for this Commanders team, I think their season is probably going to be done. You're not going to see them in the playoffs this year. Nothing against them. Jared Goff also having a quiet year. 1,900 yards plus, 17 touchdowns, 3 picks. Gibbs going to the backfield over 550 yards with 6 touchdowns. Hutchinson, 7 sacks for that Lions defense that just looked inept last week against Minnesota. You just couldn't stop them at all. Not to mention, about 3 weeks prior, again, decimated by Kansas City. So Detroit has some self-inflicted wounds that you really worry about because you see what they can do because they dominated Tampa Bay 24-9. So they definitely have the opportunity to handle these teams. A quality feature, but with the injuries sustained right now with the Commanders, I don't see much. Analytics is the same way, 65% for Detroit. The line's only 3.5. I think it's going to be more than that one, but I do think Detroit is definitely going to be able to leave DC with the W. At the SoFi Sunday night as the Chargers play host to the Steelers, who had that surprise win last week against the Colts, which I called. Not to pat myself on the back. Aaron Rodgers then takes on Justin Herbert. Herbert, quality, put some good numbers himself. Almost 2,400 yards passing. 18 touchdowns, but those 8 picks really hampers things. Aaron Rodgers, quality been on his own season as well. 1,700 yards passing, 17 touchdowns, 5 picks. And we see with the Steelers defense, they had that opportunity. They did that against the Colts. Failed to do it against Green Bay. Failed to go against Cincinnati. But they were able to do it against Minnesota. So they're able to do it when they can, but sometimes it just doesn't really happen. And for the Chargers, good teams give them some trouble. The Colts, which I call for them losing to the Colts. But they had some other disappointments in there as well. I mean, struggle against Tennessee. Definitely got to shake that off of them. I mean, it was just that week particular. Teams are about to struggle. So we'll see what kind of transpires this week. Analytics like the Chargers at 63%. The Lions at 3.5 as well. I like those numbers. I think Aaron Rodgers definitely put up a good game. This should be a good battle between these two. I think at the end of the day, I think the Chargers are going to find themselves in the right position. And then Monday night, we'll have the Philadelphia Eagles head up to Lambeau to take on the Packers. And the Packers looked flustered against Carolina. They could not get out of their own shadow. They couldn't do anything. But now they can take on the defending Super Bowl champions, and I think this is where the Packers thrive. Right now, Jordan Love, 2,000 yards plus, 13 touchdowns, 3 interceptions for the Pack. Jalen Hurst, over 1,600 yards rushing, 15 touchdowns, and an interception. One of the key things you have to worry about is A.J. Brown right now. Questionable with a hamstring, which is going to be a huge factor as well. Saquon Barkley is also questionable, which could leave some of the things out there for that defense that could hamper them for a bit. But the Packers not having Kraft will be a huge loss because he was a major factor the past couple of weeks, and not having him will affect this game overall. He's been a lifeline for Jordan Love. Jacobs probably needs to be is a decent running back as well, over 500 yards, but 10 touchdowns. He's definitely a back you have to take account for, and that defensive front for Philadelphia has to get back there and disrupt them as much as possible. Right now, analytics likes Green Bay 52%. The line favors the Pack at 2.5. I don't know. Last week, everything pointed towards Dallas. I went to Arizona, and I was right. This week, I have no idea. Either one of these teams can win it. The line and the stats and analytics be damned. I mean, if Philadelphia comes in there with their game plan and be able to stop Jordan Love and corral this team, it's going to be like what last week when the Pack took on the Panthers. They just couldn't get anything going. And the Eagles have won their past 2 matchups. They struggled against Minnesota. Had a week off to kind of recoup everything, and then be able to get past the Giants. You looked at some of the Green Bay's couple games. The last 2 wins they had, they struggled. Beat the Steelers by 10, and then the Cardinals by 4. I'm going to buck the trend once again. I'm going to take Philadelphia on the road to win in Green Bay, but I do think it will be a very close matchup. I think, once again, fourth quarter heroics are going to come in. It'll probably be a last-second field goal to give the Eagles probably a 1-point victory. I think it's going to be one of those crazy, crazy games. But there you go. Those are my picks. They didn't really buck the trend too much. There's been a few here and there. Let me know which game you think I got completely wrong. Is your favorite team still in the hunt for a playoff position? Yes, I know it's midseason. Still a lot of football left to play. Things can change. But if you're a Jets fan, you can already give up the ghost, or the Browns fan, you give it up. I think your guys' seasons are done for the year. Some of them will tease their fans, like the Bears. Who knows? Let's mix it up in the comments below. The almighty YouTube, and more we interact, the better it boosts YouTube algorithm. The almighty YouTube algorithm you must pay homage to. The sure for cortexes are overloaded with sensations that we greatly desire. We old guys talking about football or watching babies and kittens. Another thing to do to help this video boost is give that thumbs up. If you want to further support this channel, the best way to do it is to subscribe. Not many of you subscribe. It doesn't cost you a dime. You hit that subscribe button, click that bell icon, turn on notifications, let you know next time I post any more content on my channel. Now, see you next time. Chat Sports Talk.